Good morning, students. As the UGC-NET examination is near, so you have to study the important topics first because you cannot cover the syllabus, as I always say. Alright, so what we will do in this video is we will look at the previous year 2023 December 2023 examination and question paper, and we will figure out what all are the important topics that were already asked in the last 10 years and what you can do right now. Okay, so in the next 5 days or 4 days, try to complete these topics which I am going to discuss here. After, if you have completed these topics, then you can continue your studies for literature exam, but for now study these topics based on the 2023 question paper. All right, let's look into it. So here we have DS Lawrence, Sons and Lovers. This particular work has been asked more than 10 times in the previous year questions. You can check out the topic wise questions also. You will find a lot of questions from Sons and Lovers. Make sure that you study this topic in detail. All right, when I say that you have to read this particular work in detail, I mean to say is that you have to watch a movie on Sons and Lovers. Okay, it's available on YouTube or on online platforms. You can search it on internet. Okay, you can do like this, or you can go with the chapter wise summary. Okay, you can take the printouts from the Spark Notes, or else you can read the novel. Of course, reading a novel is not possible. You can also go and watch a movie on Sons and Lover. If you are studying only summary of Sons and Lovers, then please do not read the summary. There is no use of reading the summary and appealing for the exam, because if a question will be repeated, you will 100% you will not be able to solve that questions from Sons and Lovers. Okay, you have to study this in detail. So when I say in detail, you have to study chapter wise summary, or you have to read the novel actual text, or you have to watch a movie on it. Summary will not do the work. Competitive exams are not like your MA or post graduation or graduation exams. These are competitive exams. 1 lakh student will sit here and you are going to become an assistant professor, so it is expected that you know something in detail of this work. Okay, let's move on to the next work. So this is from language and linguistics. Leave it for now. From here, the skylark, the badger, the gypsy camp, first love. You have to study the skylark. Okay, you can make the notes of skylark, 1 paragraph, 2 paragraph. The remaining, the badger, the gypsy camp, first love, 1 sentence, 2 sentence will do the work. You do not have to study anything in detail. You can just simply write down one sentences for these 3 poems also. Okay, they will not ask any in-depth question from here, but skylark they can ask. Okay, not in detail, but summary will do the work. She stoops to conquer. This particular work has almost like 5 to 6 times they have asked in the previous year questions. She stoops to conquer. High chances are that they can ask you the same work in the upcoming examination also, because we have another work, Waiting for Godot, from 2020 to 2023. Almost 6 times consecutively. Every year, every examination, they're asking 1 or 2 questions. In December 2023 examination also, they have asked 1 question from Waiting for Godot. So She Stoops to Conquer, you have to study in detail. Do not read the summary, it will not work. You have to read that in detail. You can either watch the movie, or you can do the chapter wise summary from Spark Notes, Grade Saver, whatever it is. You are doing the summary alone, it will not work. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So here you do not have to study any of these works, the Divine Image, the Little Boy Lost, the Holy Thursday, the Little Boy Found. Simply remember the work and simply remember the poet who has written this work. Almost 10 to 15 questions will be like, who has written this work, which of the following writer has written this work. So make sure that you remember all the titles. Okay, just like this one, we have 4 options. It doesn't matter if you know the summary or if you know anything about these 4 titles, but at least you know the title. First work is to remember the titles of all these things. For example, Charles Dickens, I have only studied like 4 or 5 works of Charles Dickens, and the remaining I remember all the titles of Charles Dickens, all the 14-15 works, whatever he has written. So I remember all the works in chronology order, even though I have only studied 3 to 4 summaries of it or in-depth study of it, but I at least remember all the titles. Okay, alright, so let's move on to the next one. Sharan Kumar Limbale argues the lit literature. You have to study Sharan Kumar Limbale's The Aesthetic of the Lit Literature, because for the last 2-3 years this writer has been asked many times in the GATE, SET or NET also. Okay, then we have Waiting for Mahatma. You do not have to study any of these works. 1 paragraph, Waiting for Mahatma. So Many Hungers, 1 paragraph. The Sword and the Sickle, one paragraph, two sentences, three sentences, what you can do is you can make down the notes here, annotations here. Okay, always take the printouts of the previous year questions, or you can also check out the booklet that we provide to the students on topic wise. Okay, and then you can start annotating here only. Okay, so that you can revise before the examination. Make the notes here in this blank space, make the notes here in the blank space, make the notes here in the blank space, and then you just revise those things. Revising previous year questions are more important than revising anything else. So make sure that you are revising these things and you are studying these things only at your priority. After that, you can go to the 2022 question paper, 2021 question paper, and then from 2008 to 2020 we have already covered on the website, also in the complete 3000 plus topic wise question booklet. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. You have to study this Anna Karenina in detail. Okay, in detail you have to study it. Do not skip this because they are asking it every time. Question number 65, an introduction by Kamala Das. It will just take you 10 to 15 minutes to complete this an introduction by Kamala Das. So make sure that you are writing down the notes in the blank space here and you just explain everything over here. Okay, so then we have the Handmaid's Tale. You have to study the summary. Okay, summary will do the work. Beloved, summary will do the work. Things Fall Apart and 1984 you have to study in depth. Okay, these two works you have to study in depth, Things Fall Apart and 1984, and they have asked the questions inside the chapters. Okay, I have personally read these two novels also. When I was preparing, I read around 50 novels, and reading a novel is just interest for me. I love literature, and it's very easy for me to study the novels, to read novel. I used to read one novel every day, or 2 3 novels every week. Okay, Things Fall Apart in 1984 you have to study in depth. All right, question from Anna Karenina again. You have to study in depth. War and Peace, you can skip this work. 1984 you have to study in depth. Jane Eyre, you have to study this Jane Eyre in depth. As I already said, in depth means you have to study chapter wise summary, or watch a movie, or you have to read the novel. Okay, in depth means this thing. If you are reading the summary of Jane Eyre, do not go to the exam, do not appear for the exam, leave the exam. Okay, do not study the summaries for the, at least for net. Okay, you are becoming assistant professor, so you have to meet this level, you have to meet the expectations of national eligibility test, UGC. Okay, so next question is E.M. Foster, the aspects of novel. You can make the notes here, use this free space, and that will be sufficient. Okay, then we have from Indian literature, you can skip this question. Okay, they have asked it once, but now I don't think they are going to ask it again, so you can skip all these works. Okay, no need to do anything. This is a question based on your general knowledge. If you have read it somewhere, you will be able to answer it. Otherwise, there is no use to study all these things. Okay, Shashi Deshpande you can read, Bharti Mukherjee you can read, and then we cannot say anything about the remaining 3 writers. They are asking the questions from Indian literature. No matter how much you study, you are going to find such questions from Indian literature every time. Okay, the same question we have seen just above it, that they have given the 4 options, match the following. Okay, no one can answer that question. No one can answer this question also. If you have read it somewhere in any newspaper or in any book, or while studying Indian literature, you can guess the answer, but 100% accuracy is not possible in these works. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Great Expectations, you have to study in depth. Hard Times, you have to study in depth. Oliver Twist, summary is enough. David Copperfield, summary is enough. A Tale of Two Cities, summary is enough. See, our first priority is to study the things that we already have. Okay, do not fooled by randomness. Indian literature, sir, Indian literature. Have you studied these 5 works in detail? Have you studied these 2 works at least, Great Expectations and Hard Times? You must study those things that have already been asked in the examination. That will be sufficient for you to crack this examination. No need to study the things that you have not heard, that are not in the previous year questions. Okay, do not study anything that are not in the previous year questions. Always follow the previous year questions and study according to it. First complete what you already have, and then you can move on to the things that you do not know about, that no one knows about. Okay, so I always suggest the students to study what you already have, and then you can go on to the next things that you do not know about. Okay, the next one is you can simply study the summary. If you know the summary, you can simply answer this question also. Okay, then we have this question, Anglo-Saxon literature, Beowulf, summary, and then Lee Morte Arthur, summary, Canterbury Tales, summary. Okay, the remaining these 2 works you can skip. Let's move on to the next one, Pilgrim Progress. You have to study this in detail. Okay, this is the Spectator, that is a magazine. Okay, then you can do the summaries of all these. Orinoco summary, and then skip this work. Pamela summary, Clarissa summary, skip this work, skip this work, skip this work. Okay, first you have to do these things that I'm telling you. Okay, in 2023 question paper you are finding a lot of topics that are already repeated. The same after 2023 you have to study 2022 question paper, 2021 question paper, and then I always suggest 2008 to 2024. We have already created a booklet over there, so you have to study those things first and then worry about, sir, I do not know this thing, I do not know that thing. Okay, do not worry about the things that are not known to you. Worry about the things that you know but you are not studying. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. You can skip this question. Again, this is from Indian literature, you can say, and we are not getting any good question from Indian literature. 3 questions till now we have seen in Indian literature, and all these 3 questions do not make sense, and I can say you with guarantee no one can answer these 3 questions with 100% accuracy. Okay, then we have A Room of One's Own. You have to study this. Summary will do the work, and then here also summary will do the work. Here also summary will do the work, but it is always suggested that you can study Jane Austen in detail. At least 2 or 3 important works of Jane Austen you have to study in detail. Okay, but again, if you have read the summary once, twice or thrice, you can answer this question also. Okay, let's move on to the next one. You do not have to study any of these works. Simply remember the title. So that's what I'm saying. Almost 10 to 12 questions are like this only. Who has written which work? Which of the writers are associated with which work? Okay, match the following works with the authors. So that makes sense. At least you know the titles of all the work, all the authors, and then you can do the summary, detailed summary, and all those things. Okay, The Mayor of Casterbridge, you have to study in detail. Summary, the Return of Native summary. Okay, these 3 you have to study the summary. Okay, you cannot skip any of these 3 works, they have already asked, but summary will do the work. Here, Mayor of Casterbridge you have to study in depth. Okay, next one we have, you see, Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. You can never answer this Waiting for Godot if you have not studied this work in depth. So summary will not do the work, you have to study in depth. Either you read the play, okay, order it from Amazon and read the play. Either you watch the movie, either you go with the chapter wise detailed summary and make notes from it, or just revise that. Summary alone will not do the work. Okay, you have to study in depth. Next question is, R.K. Naray's The Financial Expert. Kantapura summary will do the work. No need to study this. Summary will also do the work. So in Indian literature we have seen 4 questions, and this question is also difficult to put in chronology. So out of these 4 questions, I do not think any of the question will make sense. Any of the question you can get with high accuracy. So that's why I always suggest British literature theory and criticism are the way to crack this examination. These questions are also relatable, but Indian literature is very big. And yes, of course, you do not have to study anything in detail in Indian literature. Summary of Kantapura, that's enough. Summary of the God of Small Things, that's enough. I have already created the important summary playlist of all the Indian literature works. Almost 20 summaries, 20 important works I have already created. The summaries of Indian literature is enough, and we are never sure about Indian literature whether you will get the accuracy or not. But in British and theory, you will definitely going to get the accuracy, and you are definitely going to find more questions from British and theory. Always study what you already have. Do not worry about what you do not know. Okay, look at the previous year questions, 2023 question paper, then 2022, 21, 20, then you can go with the booklet. Okay, that 3000 plus topic wise booklet, or the things that we have provided on the website. Okay, next one is Ode to Psych. Summary will do the work. Summary is enough. You see, again, this question, no one can answer this question from Indian literature. That's the thing about Indian literature. They have put the Indian literature so that students get busy in solving Indian literature, so they get trapped in Indian literature. Okay, you see, 5th number question, 5 questions we have seen in Indian literature, and you have seen the difficulty level. Even though I have already cracked many times net, I have studied Indian literature thoroughly, I cannot solve this answer. I have also taught many students. Okay, so these questions are good to go. You just do the blind shot. Always study what you already know, always skip the things that you do not know. First, study what you already have. Study the previous year questions 2023, 2022, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 2008 to 2024. Okay, so the next question is, so as I already said that you have to at least remember all the titles. You do not have to study anything, any of that works from these 4 points. Okay, Castle of Otranto, you can read the summary. Read the summary. Frankenstein, read the summary. Vanity Fair, read the summary. Okay, all these four, read the summary, that will do the work. Okay, again they have given the subtitle and they have given the novel. Vanity Fair, a novel without a hero. Frankenstein, the modern Prometheus. Okay, so you have to study these things, at least the summaries. Okay, then we have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. So I have personally read this novel and it's a little difficult to read the novel, but side by side I was referring to the chapter wise summary. So I used to read a chapter wise summary and then I used to read the one chapter from the novel, actual novel. Okay, so I can always have 100% accuracy while solving Wuthering Heights, because at least 10 to 12 times there have been questions not in net but in other competitive exams also. So why not study this work in depth? Okay, so study this work in detail. Do not skip this work. Study in detail. Do not read the summary. Always read in detail of this Wuthering Heights, Miley Bronte's. Okay, Bronte's sisters. The next is Anna Karenina. So the third time we are seeing Anna Karenina in this particular question paper. Again and again they are asking the same thing. Which of the following is true about Arthur Miller's play? Okay, simply remember the summaries of Arthur Miller. 2-3 works will be sufficient to answer these 4 questions. Okay, in British literature you have to study in depth. In American, Indian literature, in African literature, you do not have to study anything in detail. Summaries will do the work. Okay, so summary is sufficient. Except British literature, summary is sufficient for all the works, but not in British literature. In British, you have to study in depth. Okay, the next one is A Tale of Two Cities. I have already discussed. The same question was already been asked in the previous year. The same questions, the same options, the same answer is also there. So, according to my experience, people say that the questions do not repeat, but again, question repeats, topic repeats. 5 to 10 question repeats if you have studied the question papers, previous year question papers. If you have studied in detail, everything repeats. Okay, tell me any of the work from this question paper that you have not heard about. I have told you all those works that have already repeated. Okay, so there is nothing new in this, so there is nothing difficult in this. It depends on your preparation level. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Then we have this, yeah, Wuthering Heights, you have to study in detail. White Sargasso Sea, simply a summary. We are seeing this work second time repeating again. Great Expectation is again repeating in the options. So you have to study the in-depth study of Things Fall Apart, Great Expectation and Wuthering Heights. White Sargasso Sea, you can simply read the summary. The next one is we have Love in Times of Cholera. You can make the Notes from Underground. The Plague, a Journal of the Plague. Here, simply make the notes. Do not read any of these works in detail. One sentence, two sentences here. Okay, use the empty space to write down the notes on these 4 things. You do not have to study anything in detail. Simply two sentences are enough. Okay, you see all these questions are from literary theory. And this one is a basic question from British literature. As you read The Age of Revival, you will find this topic. Okay, The Rabbit Proof, Fence by Doris. We do not know the answer of these questions. No one knows the answer. Okay, if you have read it somewhere, that's great. Otherwise, leave this question. Okay, in all of these things, you have to only study Novum Organum. Summary is enough. Write down the notes in the empty space here. Okay, that's enough. Again, all these are works from literary theory. You see, almost 30 to 40 questions are coming from literary theory. Again, this is from literary theory. The Calcutta Chromosome is a novel exploring. You simply have to remember titles of these works. Okay, Rabindranath Tagore has written a lot of works, so you have to remember the titles. Remember the titles of Amitav Ghosh. Remember the titles of Raja Rao. Remember the titles of Mulk Rajanand. So titles, at least remember the titles, and then you can move on to the next thing. Okay. The next one is Mystery of Species. You have to do the summary. Leave this one also, leave this one also. Midnight's Children, simply do the summary. Okay. Indian literature, it is difficult to answer this question. Okay. You can answer the question, but not with 100% accuracy, 40% accuracy, 50% accuracy. You have to do the blind shots. You have to do the guesswork here. You cannot solve this question. And then this question also. So you see, if you start reading Natya Shastra and all these works, It is very time consuming. Hardly they're asking 1, 2, 3 questions. Okay, study what you already know, what you already have, what you already look into the previous year questions. Study that thing, and then you can study this thing. I'm repeating it again and again so that it goes into your mind, it goes into your brain, so that you do not ask me again, sir, what to study in Indian aesthetics. 2 questions, 3 questions they are asking whether you have completed British literature theory and all those things. If you have not completed it, then do not jump onto this question. Do not study Indian aesthetics if you have no command on British theory and criticism. Okay, get into your brain. Otherwise, you will be here only. The next time in the December examination, you will be watching these videos of mine again and again, watching the videos of other educators again and again. Correct this in June attempt and stop watching my videos. Okay, so move on with your career. Go ahead in your career. Get successful in your career. Do not waste your time watching these videos again and again, year after year, months after months. Crack this in this June attempt. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So these all are the poems just based on your reading comprehension skills and your knowledge of literature. All right, so I hope all these things are making sense to you. I hope I have explained you in a great detail how to approach. I cannot teach you all these things on YouTube. Okay, there are teachers who are teaching you on YouTube, but that's not possible to teach anything on YouTube. Even though if I teach you on YouTube, but it will not make sense to you. Okay, you have to remember the works, you have to remember the characters, you have to read it, memorize it, cram it. You have to do everything by yourself. Okay, no crash course, no coaching, all these are waste. Okay, that's why I do not teach, that's why I do not take any class of the students. I simply provide the study material and then I guide the students how to approach that study material, because I know that literature is not to be studied, it must be visualized, it must be imagined, it must be memorized, crammed. That's how you crack the examination. Okay, it is not mathematics, chemistry, biology that you have to go to the class, that you have to look at the blackboard, you have to understand it. It is not mathematics. So what I'm telling you is going to help you a lot. Follow the advice and study what you already know by looking at the previous year questions. Okay, you can check out our study material and the books and courses and topic wise questions, literary theory, 1,000+ MCQs on the Limitless Literature website. So I will see you soon in the next video. That's it for this. Thank you.